Hello everyone, I am Danners from DannersStarcraft, and today I'll be bringing you a 1 vs 1 I played not too long ago on the ladder. The map is Tal Darim Alter. Here I am in the top right as the red Zerg, and my opponent will be WhoThe, the blue Terran in the bottom left. Now Tal Darim Alter was originally a GSL map that was introduced during, I think, GSL's first team league. And then ever since GSL started making their own maps, people have wanted them on North American servers and just in the ladder pool itself, and Blizzard answered. And I'm very happy because this map usually brings great macro games. Not too many cheesy rushes could go on because it's such a long distance between bases that the only rush that really works is the Protoss 4 gate. But anyway, to the game now. Terran putting up his first supply depot, not at the choke point. And gonna start throwing down his first barracks, and he's not gonna wall off, which is quite unusual, because most Terrans and Protosses always wall off their choke. Nothing worse in early game just running past your Marines or your Zealots or whatever, and then just running into the mineral line, killing off workers. Zerglings are just too quick. But yes, I do have my scouting drone already on the way to his base. Still learning the map, so I threw him to the wrong spot at first, but Terran is making double barracks right off the start. In most places I get worried because this usually means a quick Marine rush, but on this map I don't know, like I still haven't had enough experience with it to really judge what's going on. My drone does see the 2 barracks, but he does not see the 3rd one go down quite yet. Meanwhile, back at my base, I did a 14 hatch to get a very quick expansion that just popped. Spawning pool is down. Not researching speed quite yet. Instead, I'm gonna go for the Baneling nest because I did see the 2 barracks, so I was judging at the moment quick pressure. Then my drone does get in there and does see the 3 barracks, which is getting me kinda up an edge, thinking that there was gonna be some quick early Marine pressure. So I throw down 1 spine crawler at my ramp, throwing down 1 more just in case. Queen is out. Now I'm starting Zergling speed finally. Terran taking an expansion of his own. That is natural. Now he has 2 gases going. Spreading the creep a little bit. Yeah, as of right now, it's quite slow. Popping off a second queen to help spread the creep, and then eventually start injecting larvae on my expansion's hatchery. Terran's expansion is completed. Although for some reason, I think it's kind of out of position. It's not really as close as it could be, I don't think. But I am not 100% sure it's that. He is getting his first orbital command now. It's a little late for an orbital, but it's up nonetheless now. And then at his expansion, he is building a planetary fortress. Probably worried about some sort of ground attack or just for the later game. Meanwhile, I'm getting a bunch of Zerglings, and I have tech to layer, and now I'm getting an infestation pit. Ever since their fungal growth buff, Marines just get eaten alive by fungal growth so badly. Yeah, getting the bonus energy upgrade for the infestors. He does scan me and see pretty much all of my tech. He sees the Baneling nest, sees the layer and the infestation pit. He still doesn't know that I have the expansion up, And I got my Zerglings to kill down the rocks over here, so I'll eventually be taking an expansion over there. Meanwhile, Terran is getting the infantry weapons +1. And then now I am transferring into Hive Tech, getting 2 evolution chambers and a spire. Because I did run a Zergling down to his main area, to his expansion, seeing the bunkers and the siege tanks. So, figured ground isn't going to really work right now, is it? WhoThe now putting down his first starport. He does have an armory, so he could make Thors if he wanted to, and I am making the spire right now, so if he'd ever decides to go Thor and I'm going Muta, that's a loss for me. I did throw down an extra hatchery for macro purposes, wasn't spending my money quick enough. My third base is now completed. I instantly make my spire into a greater spire, seeing that he had the planetary fortress and the bunker setup and the siege tanks. Broodlords would absolutely demolish in this situation. As you can see, making a couple corruptors already. Now Terran doing a little bit of a drop here. Sneaking around. Was not spotted by any of my Zerglings at the tower. He did a good job of avoiding that. Terran now getting Hunter Seeker Missile, or it used to be called Hunter Seeker Missile, now it's just Seeker Missile, but yeah, now this is pretty bad. I move out all of my guys. I'm getting ready to do an attack, but unfortunately I never did get to see this drop coming. So this is going to be really, really bad. I'm completely out of position. Looking at my base, I don't really have much defense, and here comes the drop right now. Meanwhile, I did transfer those corruptors and the broodlords. I'm going to be making an attack on one of his bases, but here comes the Marines, just absolutely tearing up my mineral line. I have absolutely nothing nearby. Meanwhile, back at Terran's base, I do have the broodlords starting to attack. Unfortunately for me, they're going for supply depots first, way to blow your cover. And then my mineral line just got completely demolished. I think the Marines are going to be able to take out this hive. Yes, they do, because now finally I get some reinforcements. I was completely out of position. I lost my hive. And then finally, he retreats. Meanwhile, the broodlords are doing some decent damage at his mineral line as well, but unfortunately for me, he does have Vikings there, and broodlings cannot jump on spaceships. So, these broodlords will go down. But at its expansion, he only has like 3 or so SCVs left. Now they are all gone. The broodlings, since they are ground, the siege tanks were shooting at them. In fact, the siege tanks are probably doing more damage than the broodlings are. So now at my natural expansion, I start trying to get my tech back. I turn this hatchery into a layer, and then I try to replace the hatchery at my main. There's still some minerals and gas left, so might as well try and get as much as I can out of it. Now the spire is still standing even though off creep. I am getting the layer back to hive tech, so if anything goes wrong with the spire, I can go back and make another. Now the drop happens again, but I have mutas this time to take care of it. The greater spire does live. I take out the medevacs. Win. Good engagement for me there. Well, now that my mutas are exposed, he is starting to place missile turrets in his base somewhere. There are 3 going down. Why can't I find them? There they are, right by the bunkers. He's got them in good position in case for later if I'm trying to break the wall, but at the moment he was still leaving his mineral line exposed, finally getting one missile turret over here. 12 more mutas on the way for me. Looking at the units production, or not the units production, but the total units tab, I have 18 mutas right now. Nice little flock of them. 25 mutas. And once you get a nice big ball of mutas, it almost seems like they could take down anything. A lot of people have trouble with mass muta. Terran's answer is probably Marines with Thors. But not enough Marines, we could just magic box the Thor and that's it. We do have a small Viking and Raven push coming through the middle. My Zerglings do see that, and then here comes my mutas taking out all the Vikings. But then there's 3 Ravens, they all have Hunter's Seeker Missile. Lots of splash damage, but it only took out 5 or so of the mutas. Fortunately, the shots were just too spread out. Meanwhile, Terran does have his 3rd base coming up. And now his expansion, I bring my mutas in, do see the missile turrets, try and take them out as quickly as I can, trying to not lose so much, but then, okay, there's Marines there. I do retreat from there. Now I start to harass this command center, do as much damage as I can as quick as possible. Unfortunately, I did lose a lot of mutas trying to harass his natural. Mutas taking out the SCVs, building the missile turrets, but then I do fly my mutas away. Just too many Marines at the moment. Just too many. But I do deny him mining at this expansion for a little bit. You know, getting air attacks level 1 to make the mutas that much more powerful. And then at the infestation pit I am getting neural parasite, thinking that if he does get Thors, infestors would probably be big help against the Thors. Just mind control them and then kill them off while they're still under your control. Meanwhile, looking at my base saturation, yes, this base is quite undersaturated. This base is pretty undersaturated too. I'm definitely not the best player ever. Worker count is my 37 drones versus his 35 SCVs plus his mules, so he's probably in the lead income-wise. He does scan and see my infestors and mutas, so he probably has a decent idea what's going on. There is a Viking medevac drop coming in here. Does see my extra macro hatch, but unfortunately for him, I'm not out of position this time. Here comes the Zerglings trying to help clean up, and the mutas will come. Unfortunately for the Terran player, the Marines are going after my Zerglings, so my mutas could just clean up everything. I am in the supply lead right now because I do have a lot more attacking units. Worker count is the exact same. Terran moves his expansion down to where the destructible rocks are, but decides not to actually kill the destructible rocks. A little longer distance mining. Meanwhile, coming through the middle, I am sending my units down. I am getting ready to make the attack. Sending my mutas in for a little poke. Do see the bunkers, the turrets, and the tanks and all of them. Taking a few unnecessary shots. Gonna end up taking out that SCV and the missile turret. Trying to lure some of his forces away from his front door, taking out some SCVs, taking out a couple Marines, but then a big flock of mutas can't take down that many Marines, so I do end up retreating. Still flying around, taking a lot of unnecessary damage, but then I figure, whatever, I'll just sacrifice the mutas, make some more to try and get rid of these siege tanks, so I'll be able to use my banelings on the front door. But as we do see, he does have Thors too, so that'll be very effective against clumped up mutalisks. And meanwhile, I have about 9 infestors